Sunflower and the Forest of Twisted Memories by Alberto Martin Tabora. Chapter 6. The Jungle House. Sunflower and I decided to find materials to build a raft of sorts. We both knew it likely wouldn't work out so well, but we did it anyway, to take our minds off of the threats we faced. Building a boat that wouldn't sail sounded like a better thing than wasting our time hiding away. Sunflower took me to an abandoned ice cream parlor. It was empty with the walls painted pink and white wooden lattice panels nailed to the walls. I wonder what this place was like, I told Sunflower. We were both stepping over rubble laid out across the floor. There were tiles from the ceiling, vines on some of the walls, shrubs growing from the broken floor. There was an area in the back with old tables and chairs. What about those? I pointed them out. Can these tables be salvaged for anything? Sunflower skirted around rubble to get to the tables in order to scope them out. She checked a couple of them that were still standing. I'm not sure, she relayed. They're old and a little moldy. As she made her way back to the main area, I looked around for anything else I could find. The floor was littered with wooden lattice panel decorations. I looked at the front entrance. I didn't take note to how smashed in it looked. It looked like a car ran right through the doors at one point. It made me question more about what might have happened around here. I wanted to ask Sunflower, but I knew she wouldn't know. She would have no idea. I didn't know if anyone around here did. Sunflower decided to keep a few small pieces of the lattice panels. It wasn't long before we decided to move on and find another place to look through. The next place we went to used to be a small shopping area. There were storefronts for a barber shop, shoe store, cafe, restaurant, dentistry office, salon, and even a little market. Most of them were boarded up and closed, with no way to access them without a good crowbar. Except for one storefront, which served as an entrance into a bowling alley. Sunflower took me into it. The place was more of a disaster than the ice cream parlor. There was clear water damage everywhere, holes in the ceiling, rubble and litter everywhere, foliage decorating the place. Only then did I wonder how safe it was to be breathing in the air inside of these places. The place was musty and every piece of wood we could find was rotting. We quickly gave up and moved on again. We walked back towards where the ice cream parlor was. Along the way, a huge abandoned supermarket caught my attention. That place is big. You ever go in there? I asked. Sunflower looked over. It's always been boarded up. No one's been inside. How come some of these buildings are just closed off? Only a few are open enough to get inside. Doesn't anyone get curious enough to pry the boards off and look around? I wondered. I think Lenny has marked some territories for himself. We just respect each other's property and we don't really bother with the places that are covered, Sunflower explained. We both walked past the ice cream parlor and found ourselves at another area with a building that lined up different storefronts. Sunflower took me into an area within the building that was open. It wasn't a store, but seemed to be a hallway within that led to other places and offices within the building itself. To the left of the entrance of the hallway were large windows that peered into an old preschool. There was a broken playset and moldy toys scattered around. So many questions and wonders plagued my thoughts. This was a whole town full of people. They either got up and left or suffered terrible fates. It kind of scared me. The uncertainty of it all. The mystery and lack of understanding that I had to hold was almost unbearable. And worse yet, I couldn't shake off the feeling that I've been here before. Maybe I was having a déjà vu moment, but something about these places felt familiar. Perhaps it was my comfort with Sunflower leading me through this terrifying empty wasteland. She made the whole experience feel less intimidating and eerie. I watched as Sunflower tore a wooden panel clear off the wall, barely without any strain. It ended up scaring me more than this place did. Sunflower brought it over to me. Do you think this wood is good? She asked me. I don't know. I looked at it carefully. You know more about wood than I do. It feels flimsy. Sunflower turned around and threw it onto the ground. She clapped the dust off her hands. It won't do. It's made to decorate the wall. We need the kind of wood that makes up the wall. Would that be dangerous to obtain? I asked. Sunflower turned back to me. Yeah, duh. I wouldn't want to just take out a whole wall. She paused and thought for a moment. Unless It's not that vital to holding the roof up. Sunflower paced around and walked past me while thinking about something. It would take a lot of work to do something like that. But could we do it? I shrugged at her. She looked up at me with a worried face. It would take a lot of work and a lot of tools we might not even be able to find. Sunflower sat down against the wall. Our plan won't work. Don't say that. It could work. Why don't we ask Eric for help? He has whatever magic stuff, right? Can't he help in some way? I kneeled down in front of Sunflower and held her hands. She looked up at me. She was clearly tired and stressed out. I felt regret for pushing it. Maybe we should just walk around and enjoy ourselves for a little bit. Sunflower got up, smiled, and let go of only one of my hands. We walked around for a while near the building we were just in. We circled back to where the building was, and I noticed that part of the road was elevated. The road stretched far back through the town and came up to some train tracks right behind the building. I walked up to them and stared down a long empty road beyond the tracks. There was nothing but more trees and crumbling houses. What's back there? I shielded my eyes from the sun to get a better look down the road. Sunflower walked up behind me and stared down the road with me. No one knows, she answered calmly. No one has tried to walk down that road to see what was on the other side. I looked back at Sunflower. Do you think this could be it? Could be what? She shrugged. Maybe it's not a boat we're after. Maybe our answer lies in walking down this road. Maybe this is our chance for escape. I got a little excited by the idea. Twig, Sunflower said. I looked back at her. She had no emotion in her face. I was thinking. And I can't go. What? Why? I turned to face her. If we stay, Jonathan is going to capture us. He's going to capture you. You'll be a slave, or it could be worse. He might kill you. We don't know what he wants from you. You almost died under his weird magic trick. I built my life here, Twig. All my friends are here. I can't just leave them to fend for themselves against that monster. Sunflower made a valid point. Considering her perspective, if things get ugly, I'd want to be there so they wouldn't have to fight alone, no matter what it costs me. I sat down on the tracks, facing towards the road. I lost all interest in even wondering where it went. We don't know how long this road is anyway. We would need to pack to camp, bring food and water. I don't know if I have enough mulchings right now to prepare for something like that, Sunflower pointed out. How do we fight him? I said, blankly. Jonathan. How would we take him down? Not alone, Sunflower answered. Jonathan has hurt all of us. And the only reason Eric hasn't tried to hurt him is so he could keep peace between people of our forest and community. Even when all the while Jonathan still messes with things. That's dumb. He's a hurtful creature. All he does is threaten and hurt people. He owns slaves, Sunflower. He owns slaves. And that's not wrong enough to any of you that you would think to stand up against it? He's too powerful, Sunflower yelled back. She began to cry. There used to be so many more people in our community. We loved each and every single one of them, but they were all bought out by Jonathan's stupid charm and cast away somewhere in his facility to be chained up and forced to work for nothing in return. Eric was down there. He might not admit to it, but he was, and he made a deal so we could all live freely. Jonathan let this deal slide and spared us all. That's why we haven't tried to kill him, because he has an army down there, and who knows what else he'd fight us back with. I stood up. I would try anyway. If it were up to me, I'd find whatever I could and fight for my life to free those people. I would too, Sunflower admitted. I shouldn't have been such a bystander, and now he wants me. I've just been so scared. More tears streamed down Sunflower's face. It's okay. People who are manipulated, I suppose, don't know when they're manipulated, I told her. But I should have known. It was wrong for any of us to just let it happen. Even if realistically Jonathan has the power to kill us all. Sunflower let out her last tears as the conversation calmed down. I'm sorry I brought this up. I slightly lifted my hand to present the road behind us. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Let's just walk back. Sunflower took my other hand and led me back through the road that stretched through the town. At some point down the road, we passed an old post office. There was another road next to it that led straight into a thicker forest. Entire trees grew out of the asphalt. It was like a jungle that randomly sat in the middle of a suburban area. There was one street sign still standing on the intersection. The road leading towards the jungle was simply named Oviant. What's down there? I asked Sunflower. This part of town is odd. The trees here are much thicker. I can show you. I've only been here a couple of times, she said. She began leading me by the hand through the thick woods before us. We stepped over large roots and passed under hanging vines and tall plants. The only structure that was intact within the thick forest was a small white house, with a tree growing out of the side of it. It was really far down the lost street, and sat under a break in the leaves above, of which let the sun shine down onto it. For such an odd location, the scene was beautiful. I looked over to Sunflower. What is this? I, again, had every question I could prepare to ask in a moment. It's very peculiar. Sunflower smiled at me. Through this weird patch of thick wood, there's one small house down here that still stands. Want to see inside? Okay. I took her offer to go inside. Most of the lawn in front of the house was short enough to walk through, yet still covered in vines and roots. Upon opening the door, we were greeted with a living room. There were vines everywhere, and the back corner opened up to a tree growing through the house. Little plants sprouted from between the floorboards. There were broken couches and an untouched coffee table. The house seemed to be fully furnished. The living room had a bookcase and a TV stand. Between them, on the back wall of the living room, was an entryway in the wall that led to the landing between two sets of stairs. One went upstairs, while the other went down, in a split-level style house fashion. Both stairs were home to large vines and plants. The place wasn't scary at all. It felt like a home. For it being overgrown and destroyed by wildlife, it was still a cozy home to stand in. This is where I get some of my books from. Sunflower walked over to the bookcase. Whose house is this? I asked her. I don't know, but it stands here alone with everything still here. It's so nice and quiet here. I've cleaned up some of the couches just to stay here and read, Sunflower told me. I often come back to return books and borrow new ones. Why do you bring them back? I stepped over to the bookcase. I respect this house a lot. It's untouched and everything here just feels like a grave of sorts, Sunflower answered. I picked up an old photo frame. The picture in it was sun-kissed to the point that the picture was barely readable. It seemed like it used to be of a family of 4. The picture was so faded the faces were lost to time. The glass in the frame were cracked and ruined. I put the frame back and looked over to the stairs. Have you seen the rest of the house? I asked. Sunflower was already digging her nose into some old book she must have read and liked it before. Nothing much upstairs or downstairs. It's just a regular house, she said. I turned back to admire all the stuff on the shelves. I read the titles of each book and looked inside the cabinet doors on the bottom of the bookcase. A sudden burst was heard in the room. The ceiling cracked and debris fell. Sunflower and I both covered our heads and ducked. We turned around to look at our way out, but standing there, with the front door and the wall round it broken away, Jonathan's yellow eyes stared back. His menacing figure loomed over us. End of Chapter 6.